Raspberry has its thorns, just like every cowboy sings a sad, sad song. Well, hey! Eddie must have sent you on out today. This is one of my favorite times of the year when we be picking black raspberries. I tell you, I just learned black raspberries, they taste a lot better than the reds and the purples. They be kind of flat. So I've probably picked now onto a couple hundred quart of raspberries in my life. I am like professional grade raspberry picker. Now, one of the things to be professional grade is you keep both hands moving and you circle in and get close to the bush that you're picking. That always helps a lot. Yeah, I started picking berries back when I was like a teenager or earlier, and back then I just picked in a single quart, you know, and I would hold this in one hand, come over here and pick one in like this, pick another one and put it in, and that's slow. When I got a little bit older, I started picking in one bucket, and I would put this bucket around here and tie it on like so, and now I could pick and both hands were free. But the problem was I was going back into old orchards, nobody was picking, I had to walk a long way, and so one bucket would fill up and to walk back. So I started creating 3 buckets, and I tied all 3 buckets together like this. This made me a more efficient raspberry picker. You know, modern, they're all about efficiency, you know, how you do this quick like. So I've also tried to raise, like farm big rows of raspberries, but disease seems to move in pretty right quick. The disease likes to really set in on you, and that's just a problem. So I do more hunting and gathering, just like the Native Americans did. Go out, find where the food grows, and bring it in. And boy, everybody likes blackberry cobbler. That be it. Ooh. Yeah, one thing you're going to realize about raspberry picking, you're going to get stuck. See these little prickers on here? Well, you know why they have jaggers? I don't know either, but this is my hunch. These jaggers protect them from being all munched down by the white-tailed deer. If the deer didn't like these prickers, they just eat them down real low. So this be a first-year cane, and the second-year cane is what has the berries on. And by the second year, they kind of harden off, and the stickers, the jaggers, hurt more. So there's a lot of things in nature that need to protect themselves, and they do it all kinds of ways. Thorns be one of those ways. Yep. Oh, hello. Caught me in a little. That's a pear. It's a good one. Finger looking good, that's for sure. Yeah. Well, now that you're here, I have some questions. I have some questions for you about other strange things you do in your world, like what do you call it, the restaurants? You warm your food in little waves, and it gets microwaves. Why do you do that? What do you do when you're hungry? Oh, you pull your car through a drive-through, you pick up a Happy Meal, and you get the chicken tenders? I don't know if I could eat my chicken if it's happy and smiling back at me, begging for mercy. It just seems cruel and unusual. The meal isn't happy? What is the meal? The meal makes me happy because it's cheap, fast, convenient, tastes good. Well, I like being happy. Happy is good. Well, in our world, if we're hungry, we just, like Bernie, go out, we pick the berries.
And watermelons, I dig lots of potatoes. You don't do that so much, do you? Because Bernie, he's kind of like a hunter-gatherer. Do you know what those are? Well, here's a picture of hunter-gatherers. They, Native Americans, they didn't do a lot of these things. They just went out and found what was there. Yeah. Okay, so we are going to draw our own hunter-gatherer. He's going to be very nice. And like we always do, we start with basic shapes. And I like to start with a large head because this is a cartoon. You make this nice circle. And then you get the overall gesture. What does he look like? Our hunter-gatherer is a little Native American boy. And you start with sort of a central line here for his spine. And then you have a line here for his sloped leggy. And another line for his leg. And I like to put a little angled line here and here for his feet. And I have his head kind of angled up this way. For heads, I like to make a line down the center, and that means he's looking over this way, and we have a line about the center of his head here for his eyes, and one for his nose, and one for his mouth. And if you like the overall shapes, then you can move forward into other things like his arms without feeling like you've made too much of a mistake. I like to use sort of like I'm thinking about the skeleton, what the center line is before I get very fancy with the rest of these. So here it comes, and I'm making his hand just a big circle for starts so that I do not get too confused. And then I put the little breechcloth here and the little foot here, and that is an awful good start. And you can just try to draw your own. We got to put the big bow here. We're gonna make it a very big bow so that he looks like he's a very small little boy climbing through the woods, trying to. So that's a good shape. Put a line this way for the bow. And now you can make your own little hunter-gatherer while I sketch this super fast. So this whole hunter-gatherer thing changed with time as the number of people increased. It became harder and harder to find the berries or the deer. Somebody got there first. So what they had to do was take the berries, dig them up, and put them near their shelter. And then they began to care for the plants. It's their plant, not anybody else's. Water the plants. The person come along to take your berries, you get a stick and say, "That's my berries, you do not get back." Or if a groundhoggy comes walking along wanting your berries, you take the big sticky and you say, "I'll eat you if you eat my berries." And I'm not kidding you. And if the groundhoggy understand what you're saying, if they know English, they run away. If not, they come back and then you eat them. Now you know what that is called when you care for the plants? That's right, that's called farming. That was the beginning of farming. It just kind of naturally developed. So, but even farming, over time that naturally changed because the farming tools get bigger. Every time the farming tools get bigger and stronger, then you needed less farmers. Eventually things like tractors and plows came out, and then these less and less people being farmers. Like today in the world, 2% of people being farmers. Everybody else just running around eating lots of food. So it changed quickly, that's for sure. So, and then, to make matters more difficult or different, industrial revolution. You heard of that? That happened down there for you guys. You developed big machines to factory produce things about all kinds of products. And then the people who used to make things by hand, a little cobbler making shoes, or a basket weaver making a nice basket all week and selling it for a good amount of money, he couldn't compete with the machines in the factories. So they go out of business They have to go to and the farmers, the small farmers go out of business, and everybody goes to the cities to find work. Yes, I have a picture here of a blacksmith. This is way, everybody had their own little shop back then, and they could work close to home. Or you had this little basket weaver. Here he is carefully weaving all these decals. So, even old McDonald's farm changed for one of like 20 little chickens to 200,000 chickens, massive thing. So what began as a pristine, clean forest became a farm. And the farm became a housing development or factory. And by then you could not drink the water in streams or wells. And even the fish were not safe or tasty as before. So I was trying to show, I made a collage. Do you know what the collage is? No, it's not where people go to learn things. It's a picture. See? In here I tried to show you what happened to your world over time. So you start with nature, clean, pristine, beautiful animals, beautiful people, and over time the nature becomes polluted. Old McDonald's farm, the water gets a little murky. Then you go into industrial farms, you have massive cages and houses for chickens, all of these tractors. And I asked the question, where does your food come from? Nature, the small farm, or the industrial farm? So I have a message that I want to communicate. You want to know if you could make a collage? Well, yes, of course. It's an easy thing, Unlike most works of art, you don't have to draw everything. See, most of this is just pictures that I printed off, cut them up and arranged them. So that makes it easier. You don't have to draw 200,000 chickens. That takes a long time. So, can you make a collage? Yes, of course. Like I said, you have to find out what your message is. What do you want to say before you can say it? For example, I wanted to show you how you're killing your world, and in turn, your world is trying to get you. And so, don't just randomly cut out pictures and glue them all over the place. Draw some of the image, like the stream that I drew, to tie it all together, and that will be your composition. So, what is a composition? Well, a composition is the arrangement of the parts of the picture on the page. How do things be arranged? Do they look nice the way that you have them arranged? So, it should be attractive. There should be a focal point, the big, most important part, and then there might be overlapping some things in front of other things to give it depth. You don't want to just put them out here side by side like this. No, overlap them so you have a sense of depth. And you want color usage. I mean bright and beautiful colors of all kinds. Unless you don't want that. Maybe you want dark and dreary and black and white to give a certain message. So, are you leaving already? Are you off to get your Happy Meal? Well, the meal would be not, if you were doing a collage of a Happy Meal, you would make it blue because the chicken was quite sad. Yes. Sad chicken.